Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Tayag and Dr. Talabut.
Good morning, Dr. Jane.
Michelle will be moderating this morning's session.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. So shall we begin?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'd just like to
Yes.
confirm if you can see my slides. Yes, all right. Okay, a pleasant morning, everyone. Welcome to the second session of the webinar series on teaching
Yes.
science in English. Please be reminded of the house rules. First, please keep your microphone muted unless you want to speak. If you wish to express your thoughts, please type them in the chat box or raise your hand and wait to be called. Finally, you may turn on the closed caption on your Google Meet and enable the Chinese translation. The first session for today is Teaching Elementary Science in English, Engaging Learners Through Gamified Activities. It will be presented by Ms. Carmi Thea Amante. In 2012, Ms. Carmi Thea Amante graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Pharmacy from the Angeles University Foundation. In 2016, she took units in Methods of Teaching in the Department of Education of the same university. At present, she is taking up a Master's of Arts in Education in the field of Special Needs and Inclusive Education. She also taught zoology, botany, geography, and history in the primary and secondary level. She is currently teaching in Angeles University Foundation Integrated School as a 5th and 6th grade science teacher. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Carmi Thea Amante. Yay!
Morning.
Good morning, Ms. Thea.
Everyone. Morning. I believe we don't have time difference in China and the Philippines, so
Yes.
it's also good morning.
Yes.
Yes. Hello.
I like your background.
Thank you. Actually, this is what we used in AUFIS. So there is Angeles University Foundation.
Oh, this is my university.
Oh, it's nice. Yes.
That's nice, Dr. Jane.
Hi, Dr. Bolinas. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Balinas.
Good morning, Dr. Balinas.
Joining us.
Magandang umaga po.
Magandang umaga.
Okay. Ms. Carmi, would you like to share your slides?
Yes. So good morning to everybody. Good morning to Dr. Balinas, to Dr. Zarain, to Dr. Remy, and to Dr. Zane of of National University of Taipei. Am I correct? National
Taipei University of Education. It's a long thing.
Yeah. So how's everybody?
Good.
Good. Yeah. Did everyone take their breakfast or sip their coffee? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I believe it is our second session of your seminar. It's a series of seminars. So it's every Saturday, right? So I'm here to share what I do inside my classroom, inside my science classroom. Okay. So I also teach preschool back in my previous school, and then now I'm currently teaching the in intermediate level, so the grades 5 and then the grade 6 students. So let me share my screen. Permission to share my screen, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There. Can you see my screen? It says the
Yes.
science classroom.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So for today, I will let you experience my my science classroom. So what is the classroom of Teacher Thay? They my students usually call me Teacher Thay. Yes. So you can call me Teacher Thay. Okay, for today's session, right? So I believe you have this research about the bilingual education that next school year you're going to start delivering lessons in the English language. Yes. At first, in my first year of teaching, I'm also very shy to talk in English because it is not my language. It is not my usual language that I use in my everyday life. It is not the language that I use when I'm talking to my parents and my talking to my with my friends. Okay, but when times go by, I can say that English is very important in our everyday life. Because if you're going to travel in another country, if you're, for example, you want to go to the Philippines, right? Not all people can understand Chinese. Or for example, you want to go to America, not all people can understand Chinese, right? So the universal language that we use is the English language, right? So that is why it is very important for us to know how to um sorry to know how to speak in English, right? And for the kids, it is important also that the kids know how to interact with other people with the English language, okay? Because English language can make them or can get them more opportunity in the future, right? So, but before we continue with our discussion, let's play a game first. Okay? So, um, there. So let's have a game, right? So I'll be showing you some words, okay? Some jumbled words, and then we're going to arrange them to make a meaningful sentence. In discussing science, it's very technical, right? Because some words or some terms are not the term that we usually hear or we hear every day. Okay, so we're going to make this jumble words, okay, into a meaningful sentence. Okay, so are you ready?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So let's have the first word as a trial game muna. Okay? So this one. So brain, we have the words brain, feel, the, pain, cannot. Okay? These are the words that you have to arrange to make a meaningful sentence. Okay? So if you already have the answer, you can click the raised hand button. Okay? To answer. So I'll give you 1 minute. Is 1 minute okay? 1 minute. Okay, so we have the word brain, feel, the, pain, cannot. So if some of you already have the answer, you can click the raised hand button. Brain cannot feel the pain. Okay. So I cannot read the Chinese characters, so I cannot really tell the name. So thank you for answering. So the answer is brain cannot feel the pain, right? Brain cannot feel the pain. Okay, how about the others? Do you have any answer? The brain cannot feel pain. Okay, what else? So let's see. Brain cannot feel the pain. The brain cannot feel pain. Okay. So you want so the correct answer is the brain cannot feel pain. Okay? But if you use brain cannot feel the pain, sometimes if you're going to read it, you can already understand it, right? But the proper arrangement of the words is the brain cannot feel the pain. Right. So next, A is our yellow sun dwarf star. A is our yellow sun dwarf star. Yeah. You can type your answers in the chat box, or if you want to raise your hand. Is A is our yellow sun dwarf star. Okay, the first word is our. I'll give you a clue. The first word is our. And then the last, our sun is a yellow dwarf star. Okay, what else? Anyone has a different answer? Thank you, Mr. Anthony. How about the others? Any more answer aside from our sun is a yellow dwarf star? Okay, so let's see if Mr. Anthony is correct. There, our sun is a yellow dwarf star. So that is the correct arrangement of the words. Yay. Thank you, Mr. Anthony. Next, we have, if too many orange eat skin, turn will you carrots. Yeah, it's too many. The words are too many. If too many your orange eat skin, turn will you carrots. The first word of the sentence is if. Miss Joychen said, if you eat too many carrots, your skin will turn orange. Also, Jane Chen answered, if you eat too many carrots, your skin will turn orange. Same. Okay. So let's see. There. So if you eat too many carrots, your skin will turn orange. Okay? So I think I have the last word. This is, I think, the last sentence. Skin black polar bears have actually. Skin black polar bears have actually. Polar bears have actually black skin. Miss Zoyton answered. Also, Miss Jane answered polar bears actually, they have different. Miss Jane answered polar bears actually have black skin. Okay, so let's see. Polar bears actually have black skin. Okay, so you see, thank you for those who participated in our game. Yeah, those are four sentences. But I appreciate your 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 engagement in our game. So you see there in the first jumble words. Okay, if we don't know how to express ourselves in the English language, okay, we cannot deliver our lesson properly, right? So for example, this one, skin black polar bears have actually. Even if I'm going to read this, I don't know what is the meaning of this sentence, right? But if we're going to make our sentence very very clear, if we're going to make our sentence very simple for the kids to understand, okay, our class will be engaging. Our class will be very interactive, right? So The most popular answer that the kids or that the students um, um, gave me when I asked them, what can you say about the subject science? They always tell me that science is very hard. Do you agree with the kids that science is a very hard subject? Do you agree with the kids that science is a very hard subject? Actually not, right? Yes. Yes. It's very hard in the sense that there are words that are very technical, right? There are words that are very technical, words that we don't use in our everyday conversation or everyday conversation. But um but if we're going to look at more deeper, science is very exciting. Okay, science is a subject that makes these kids more engaging, right? Because we have a lot of activities that we can use in our subject. There are a lot of activities that we can use to make these kids participate, right? So today I'll be sharing you my science class, how I make my science class more engaging, right? And then later on, I will also ask you what are the things or what are the activities that you do inside your science class, okay? So that I can also learn from you. Okay, so first one, get out of the classroom, play in the garden or play around. So we don't let our students stay inside the four corners of our classroom. We have a big school. Okay, we can go out of our classroom, but provided we give them instruction. We give them the things that are the objectives why do they need to go out of the classroom. So for example, in the picture, right, they're looking for they're looking into the globe. I believe this is geography subject. Geography is also a branch of science. So they're outside. So in my class, when I ask them to go out of the classroom, for example, in our botany class, I ask them to get something. For example, get different kinds of leaf. Okay, get different kinds of leaf. So they have to roam around in the campus to get different kinds of leaf. So this can make them interact with other students or with other classmates. Okay, and this can make them more active, right? Even us, we don't want to sit in our chair for an hour just listening with our teacher, right? Because sometimes an hour is very long, right? 1 hour is very long when we're only sitting down in our classroom. So we have to make them go out of the classroom. We have to make them active. We have to make their body move. Okay? So that is the first one. Okay? So how about you? Do you also do this, or do you have activities that you let the kids go out of their classroom? Could it be warm up game related to the class? If so, how much time do you think it's proper to do? Thanks. Thank Christina for the question. Yes, this could be a warm up activity. For example, um, usually how much hour do you have for your subject? I believe we have 1 hour. How minutes? 40 minutes. 40 minutes per session. Okay, so we can allot 20 minutes. We can allot 20 minutes for this warm up activity or warm up game, right? To make the kids engaging or to make them active. Once we start our class active, okay, the kids will be active for the rest of the session, right? So we can have this 20 minutes, and then the rest of the 20 minutes is for exploration or um, for for discussion already. Did I answer your question, Christina? Thank you. How about the others? What do you do? Do you ask the kids to go out of your classroom? Do you ask the kids to go out of their what usually lesson do you ask your kids to go out? Yeah. Because I'm a teacher that yes, ma'am.
I can provide an example. In one of the it was a lesson on rocks and minerals, and in one of the lessons from our affiliated elementary school, that particular class, they sent the kids out to look for rocks, and they gave the kids a sort of an acid. I don't remember which type, but I know it's a something that they could drip on the rock, and what they needed to do was to see if there's bubbles coming out of those rocks, because of the acid that was there, and to determine. So if there's bubbles, that means there's carbon dioxide, and that means that's a particular type of rock. May be
Igneous rock.
yeah. I'm not sure. So yeah, I forgot about it. Was it limestone or no? The ingredient of the rock, what the rock is made of. So yeah, so that was one that was sent out to the not to where they need to do like a not a scavenger hunt. They're spread out on campus and look for rocks. They had their iPads, and they had to document it, and then when they came back to the classroom, they shared their findings, and yeah, so that was fun.
Yes, yeah, that was fun. Thank you, Dr. Zane, for that sharing. Yes, we can also do that. I can also do that with my class, right? I did that in my class, Dr. Jane. If I remember it right, we are looking for carbonates in the rocks. It was a good activity to familiarize the students with the names of the different rocks. I also asked them to describe the rocks that they found through an infograph. Yes, thank you, Dr. Jared. So Dr. Jared and Dr. Zane have the same strategy or the same style in discussing this different types of rocks. Yeah. Okay. So we can also ask the kids to go out. For example, they want if for example your topic in the primary level is about sky. So what can you see in the sky? So they have if you're going to have the discussion outside the classroom, it's a different atmosphere, right? So the kids will have this different vibes that make them more exciting, right? So you can go out, or for example, you can just for example, you're discussing day and night, right? Day and night. So you can turn off the lights, okay? Then you have a tent, and then you just have a lamp while discussing. So let's make it more interactive and let's make it more fun with the kids. Okay. Next, this one we go high tech. Use technology every day. Okay. I believe even in your country, you also experience pandemic, right? So pandemic is not the reason for us to stop. Okay, for us to stop engaging with kids. Okay. And I think making a connection between the terms and the actual object help the students remember the science terms better. As Dr. Zaren. Yes, thank you for Dr. Zaren. I have this favorite quotation from Maria Montessori. It says that what what hand does, the mind remembers. Okay, so when we use our hands, our mind always remember it. So, thank you, Dr. Zaren. So every day with our online class, we use gadgets, we use technologies. For example, in the picture, I use laptop, I have another screen, and I have another phone. So the other phone is for me to show the kids how to manipulate the different materials. Okay, and then in the other laptop I have this where I present my lesson, and then in the other screen I have it so that I can see the kids. Okay, so I believe everybody experienced this having online lesson or online class during the pandemic. Okay, so exploring is good way for kids to learn a thing, yes, because science is all about discovery. Thank you. Right? So using technology every day is one of the best thing to to let the kids try. I believe in China, your country has the most advanced technology, right? So your country has the most advanced technology. So you can use those technology to discuss to the kids. For example, you want to discuss some documentary. So you can use your laptops, you can use your TVs, right? Or not only these gadgets, we can also have this. Okay, so we can use this microscope, okay? This the human body model, and then parts of the flower, and this other instrument or this other laboratory apparatus. Okay, so what we do with our class that you can also do with your class. For example, we're discussing parts of the flower. Okay, so I have my material. Okay, the kids also have their materials for them to know or for them to understand, because I believe, okay, not only me experience um getting bored when you only look at your teacher, right? But if you're doing something, if you're manipulating something using your hands, right? You can see that the time goes very very fast, right? So while you manipulate something, while you discuss, make the kids also manipulate something, or make them also do something that make them understand the lesson, right? So we have this different technology that we used during our online discussion. So we have the Khan Academy, we have the Ed Puzzle, we have the Quizlet, and then the Mentimeter. So I have this favorite. So this is the Ed Puzzle. Have you tried this technology tools? Have you tried Khan Academy, Ed Puzzle, Quizlet, and Mentimeter? Have you tried one of these technology tools? Yes. Miss Jean, what kind of technology did you use?
I'm more familiar with Quizlet and Mentimeter, and I've explored Khan Academy. Edpuzzle, I've only tried it a couple times, but
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Jean. Yes. My most favorite technology tools that also the kids enjoyed is the Ed Puzzle. Okay, are you familiar with the Ed Puzzle? Hi, Miss Christina. What kind of technology you used? Quizlet. Yes. I want to share this Ed Puzzle. Okay, so let me show you the Ed Puzzle. Actually, it's there. Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you. There. So the Ed Puzzle um have different videos or different lessons that you can use in your discussion. They also have different subjects. For example, in science, you're going to discuss about fruits, the name of the fruit. So here, um, Hold on. So you can play the video, and then after every video or every second, there is a question. For example, let's try one.
Orange. Banana. Banana.
So let's play it again. Okay. So for example, the what fruit did you listen a while ago? So the kids can answer banana, and then they just have to click submit. Okay, and then click continue.
Grapes.
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 This is for primary for primary level. Okay, they can use this to be familiarized with the different fruits and also with the different colors. Okay, so what color those grapes are? So you have choices here. They're purple, white, and black. So the kids can just click purple and then just click submit and then click continue.
Watermelon.
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 So what fruit is that? Is it a cherry, a pear, or a watermelon? So it's a watermelon. So continue.
Lemon. Lemon.
There. So lemon, how many pieces of lemon there are? So this is also um, we can also integrate math in this subject. So how many pieces? So 1, 2, 3, 4. There. So just submit. So Ed Puzzle have different different sets of subjects that you can choose from. Right? So like what Dr. Jane and Dr. Zaren said a while ago, they let the kids go out and then take a photo with their tablet and make and then do the presentation. Okay, we can also use that as one activity involving the use of technology. Okay. So this is one example. This is one activity that my student did. So they made an experiment. So I asked them to choose one magic show, but it's all about science. So they made a magic, right? And then they record it as a video. Okay, so let me show it to you.
is sodium bicarbonate and acetic acid reacts to carbon dioxide, water, and sodium acetate. The solid baking soda was placed in liquid vinegar, producing carbon dioxide gas, which is evident because of the formation of bubbles in the foaming mixture. I hope you like my experiment. This is Justin Iboglin Naruto, representing grade 6 St. Lorenzo Louise. Bye!
There. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Jane. So that is one output of the kids when I asked them to make a magic show. So um there our topic there is about chemical reaction. So you can also try this with the kids. Okay, they can also practice how to they can also practice themselves how to speak in English, how to make themselves more confident in speaking in English. Okay, so have you tried this in your class? Who have tried this?
Just now to connect. No. Well, I haven't tried the lava. I didn't know we could make our own lava lamp. So this
Yes.
is wonderful. What other chemical reaction like um, projects has the other students come up?
Well, we also had the volcano eruption.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. We also have the volcano eruption and we used we used baking soda to blow up a balloon. Okay.
Oh, mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
We also do that. The kids also do that, but I'm sorry it's not in this. It's not on the presentation. But if we have time later, I'll be showing the other videos to you. So there. So that is one activities that we can use with our high technology. I believe your students have this high technology, right? So there, we can use of their advancement. Next, here, take it hands on. So teach fun activities. So in the pictures, I'm telling a story. It's about animals. It's about animals. It's a ladybug animal. And then while we're discussing, they are also having their activity. Because I experienced one time when I was discussing with the kids. Okay, while I'm discussing, they're just looking at me, and then some kids are already hungry. They already standing up, roaming around the classroom. Okay, they're not interested anymore. So I decided, why not while discussing, make it engaging. Okay, so while discussing, I asked them to make their own ladybug there. So if you're in the pictures, the kids are with me in the table. They're not roaming around there. So you can also do this. So, I believe some of you are teaching primary students, right? Primary students love arts and crafts. So they love the arts and crafts. Yes, this is for younger kids. These kids are in the grade 1. These kids are in the grade 1. So we can use also this until grade 3. So this activity, so grades 1, grades 2, and grades 3 can use this activities. And then this one, this is our botany subject. So we make them enjoy, we make them feel the soil, we make them feel how to plant. So they will so there. So they are the one who will plan, but of course with the help and with the supervision of the teachers. So let's make our discussion more fun because this is what the kids want. This is what our students like, right? They're looking forward with the activities that we give them every day. Okay. So let me just ask, what do you have botany subject, right? Botany is also integrated in science. What activities did you do during botany?
I think for like I think for first grade or second grade, they would like have a lesson on the plant cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and they would grow their own. Was it green bean or this other type of plant called it's I don't know what it's called, but yeah, it's a kind of plant that we use for cooking with
Mm-hmm.
eggs, and so they would grow that particular type of plant and observe its growth. But and also for some elementary schools, they would have like lessons on their gardens, or they would have their own farm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, and also they would have lessons on seeds, and so they would observe different types of seeds and all that. Yeah, that's
Yes.
all that
Yeah,
I know.
thank you, Dr. Zane. Yeah, those activities are very fun because the kids can really feel that they're the one who's doing it. I'm a farmer, right? So they're very they can tell themselves, they can tell other people that I already
Hmm.
I already experienced planting soil. I
Hmm.
mean, planting flowers or planting plants. In our class, we used mango seeds. Same Dr. Zared. In our class, we also used mango seeds because mango seeds is very easy to plant because next day there is already a small plant. Yeah, right there. So, and then we have this fun games. Make it fun. Make learning related to their everyday life. Right? It is very important that we make them or we make our lesson related in our everyday life because this is what they will do when um, they are out of our classroom. So in this picture or in this activities, our lesson is about chemical change and physical change. Right? So when they cook, there is a chemical change. Right? When they slice an onion, there is a physical change. Right? So if you have a big size class, right, it is better if you're going to do it um, one by one. I mean, with one student at a time. Okay, first you're going to let the student watch you, and then let the student do it for you. Okay, so let's make it more engaging. For example, this one we're baking. Okay, so um, because the kids ask the teacher in this subject, I mean in this activity, that's why I asked them to make their own food or their own snacks. Is one time one student asked me, teacher, if you bake a banana or if you bake a bread, is there a chemical reaction or it's just a physical reaction because it's in the container. So um, these kids are preschool. They're in senior casa. Okay, so they are 5 years old. Okay, so, but their thinking is very different. Their thinking is very complex. So that's why I asked them to make their own snacks. So in this, I discussed them that during baking, there is a chemical reaction and there is also there is a chemical change and also a physical change. Because if you bake a bread, okay, there is already heat involved. So if there is a heat, there is a chemical change. Okay, so that's how they learn. That's how our students learn. Right? We let them experience um, this lesson related in our everyday life. And then next one is the fresh perspective. So you can also ask them to bring, or you can also ask one guest teacher to be in your class, to join your class, okay, to teach your class. Because every day, or if we're going to if we're going to meet our class every day and same activities every day, I bet our kids will get used to it. But if there is a new face in our class, okay, the kids will be very excited because they have this thought in their head that who is that teacher, right? What are you doing here, teacher? So the kids will ask a lot of questions, a lot of they can share a lot of things with their guest teacher, right? For example, when I was a kid, I'm also looking forward when there is a, for example, seminar that we're going out of our classroom and then um, listen. For example, we have a book fair. Okay, so there is this is a book fair. Actually, this is a book fair. So there is a mascot. So that's why kids are very excited. So there. So we can bring guest teacher, right? And then switch it up. Switch it up. So let students teach each other. Okay, it's not always teacher talking. So let our kids talk. So sometimes there are some ideas that we don't know, but our kids know it, right? So the kids learn from us, and we also learn from our kids. This is one activity that I ask the kids to do. So our lesson here is about landforms. It's geography. It's about landforms. So they have their book. We have this materials. You can also make your own with the use of clay. Okay. So we have this material, and then each student have their own part to discuss. So, for example, is this kid is this kid will discuss about landforms. So this the his or her classmates is listening to her. So for that moment, okay, for that time, that girl or that student is their teacher. So this is how she do it. The different landforms. The first one is island. It is a little land that isn't surrounded by water. Archipelago. Archipelago. There. So the student discussed all the different landforms and even give the brief definition of it. This is for primary students. We can also use this for our intermediate level, but we can let the kids do their own material or do their own landforms, and then they can discuss right after. Okay, this is also one activity that the kids can also engage with other students. Okay, they can also have interaction with their classmates there. So it is very important that we let our students talk. It is very important that we let our students stand up in front of our class and share what are the ideas that she has or he has inside their mind, because that is the time when they feel that they are being appreciated, or that is the time that they can feel um, that everybody is looking up to them, right? So we are not us teachers are not inside the classroom to teach. Okay, yes, we are a teacher, but we are there to supervise them. We are there to help them discover what are the things that they can learn inside our class. Okay, we are there to supervise. We are there for us. We are there to guide them, because if we let the students discover what they can learn inside the classroom, they will remember it for their they will remember it for the rest of their lives, right? Because one says, Maria Montessori said that what does the hand does, the mind always remembers. That is my favorite quotation for from Maria Montessori. Actually, these are Montessori materials. Um, these are Montessori materials, but we can also make our own materials, right? We can also make water forms out of clays. We just have to and we only need water and clay for the water forms. There. Have you tried this in your class, discussing landforms and water forms with geography? Right? So we let our students talk. Okay? It's not only teacher discusses every time. Okay? So sometimes science can sometimes be a little dry, but it doesn't have to be. Okay? But it doesn't have to be. Um, I believe when you switch your medium of instruction to English, the kids will have this idea that I cannot understand science anymore because the medium of instruction is different. It is not the language that we used to hear every time we discuss science. But our role is let them experience, or our role as a teacher is let them realize that science is very important when discussing science, because science is all about discovery. It's all about our everyday life. Right? It's all about how the kids will have their or how the kids will be successful in the future, because science is best taught with hands-on activity or hands-on and active instruction, and one of the most fun and memorable subject, because English is a language of computers, conversation, and business, and most importantly, the language the world speaks. When we go in a different country, when we go, for example, we want to go, or if you want to visit Philippines, right? Once you enter the Philippines in the airport, people will talk to you in English, right? So it is very important that we learn, or that our kids will get used with the language, or with the English language as a medium of instruction. It is because we are making them ready, okay, in their future. So teaching English to kids is vital for their future and their growth, and for that we need to start now. Okay, so don't be afraid to use English as a medium of instruction in discussing your subject, not only in English but also in the different subject. I mean, not only in science but also in the different subject, right? Because if you won't practice it now, right? If you won't practice speaking in English, or English as our medium of instruction, so when, right? So why not start now, right? So there. So what does the hand does, the mind remembers. Always remember that science is all about active and hands-on activities. Okay, but before we end our session, I still have 30 minutes. Okay, I still have 30 minutes. I want you to let's have an activity. Is that okay, Dr. Jane? That we're going to have an activity?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So let's have an activity. Okay. So for example, we're teaching grade 3 students.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're teaching grade 3 students, and the topic is all about planets. The topic is all about planets. Okay. So how can we make this subject more interesting? Because I believe planets are one of the most favorite lesson, or favorite topic of the children, of our students, right? So now we're going to think of activities that that will make our class more engaging. Okay. So again, we're teaching grade 3 students, and our topic is planets. So you can use this strategies. You can think of an hands-on activity, right? You can think of using technology every day, or you can ask the students, or you can think of activity outside the classroom. Okay, so is 15 minutes okay? And then um, we're going to ask three participants to share. Is that okay, Dr. Zane?
Yes.
Yes.
How long would you like them to think?
15 minutes is enough, I guess. Is that enough? 15
Mhm.
minutes?
Well, perhaps a bit too long.
Okay. How many minutes, Dr. Zane?
Well, if some of the teachers in the audience have already taught, or
Mhm.
they're they might be teaching science already, they would have an idea or two.
Oh yeah. I guess 5 minutes is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah. So it's 9:58. We have the same time, right? It's 9:58. So I'll be giving you 5 minutes to think of what activity that you can use to make the topic planet more engaging to our students. Okay. Okay. So timer starts now. Thank you, Dr. Jane. Dr. Zane, is it okay that you if you can pick three participants from the audience, from our audience?
Can you say that again? Can you so one of the teachers was asking, can you state the question again?
Okay. So we're going to have an activity. So the activity is you're going to think of an engaging activity about the lesson planet with our grade 3 students.
Um, yeah, the planets in the solar system.
Yes, planets in the solar system.
There are a variety of different ways. Um, okay. Would you like me to break them up into breakout rooms instead?
If they wanted to do as a group,
Okay. Or just, you know,
I
okay.
think individual is fine, Dr.
Okay,
Jane.
okay.
Thank you. And can you help me choose among the participants?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you. It's 10 o'clock. I think 10:05. We're ready. Oh, sorry. Yes, Taiwan. I keep on saying China. Sorry for that. My bad. Sorry. Yes, it's Taiwan. Last 1 minute. Yeah, I believe everybody's ready. Dr. Jane. Yeah. Okay. So it's 10:05. Okay. So let's hear from our three participants. What are the activities that we can do, okay, in our class when we discuss planets and solar system? Dr. Jane, can you help me pick from our participants, please?
Any volunteers first?
Yeah, volunteer. Who wants to volunteer? I love to hear your voice.
Thank you. 佳慧老师.
Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Hi. Um, yes,
Yes.
I have a question. Does everybody has English name?
Yes, you can call me Cindy.
Oh, Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
Actually I'm not a science teacher. I mainly teach science in English in my English class. Okay.
Wow.
So thank you for asking this question. But honestly speaking, I have never taught this topic before. But during that very short time, I brainstormed some teaching ideas. Okay. So can I share my screen?
Yes, sure.
Um,
There.
actually, it's very brief. Here. Okay, very short and brief. If I have a chance to teach this topic, first of all, I want to provide my students the multimedia, such as the warm-up video about planets in the solar system. So to activate their background knowledge and to encourage them to, to engage them more. But I still haven't found the video so far, but I think it's not so difficult to find it. Or maybe I can find a picture book to combine with my lesson. Okay. And then the follow-up activity, I want them to use the POE, predict, observe, and explain. And predict, I want to ask them how many planets in the solar system. Why I want to ask this question? Because do you know that in the current time, it's you can look up in the sky. Actually, there are 5 planets, okay, above the sea level right now. So I want my students to predict the current phenomena. So actually, the answer is 5. But how can they observe? So I want to integrate technology. So actually, I use an app called, in Chinese, we say 观星. 观星 in English, maybe it's called
I guess Miss Cindy
Oh, we're
lost.
losing her, right?
Yeah. What is the Quanxing? What's the application?
I think it's a app that has something to. I don't know which app she's referring to. Might be Sky or something. So observing the stars.
Stars, yeah. And Miss Cindy used the use of technology every day to go high tech.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I guess she lost her internet.
Yeah, I think she lost her internet.
Okay. So let's just get back to her. Yeah, I would love to attend that class, Teacher Cindy. My students love to watch the night sky using stellarium.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I promise Miss Cindy that I will use that strategy she shared in my class with our with our lesson planet and solar system. So let's just get back to her once she's here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So let's choose one. Do we have any volunteer? Oh, there.
Oh,
You
there.
see.
You're back. You need to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
sorry about the Wi-Fi. It's not so
It's okay.
yeah, not so stable. So I use the I can combine with the iPad or Chromebook to help my student to observe the sky right now. So it can also switch to the AR, augmented reality form. And after that, I will use the activity that is the worksheet to help them to reconstruct the sequence, the order from the sun to the universe, such as this kind of sequencing and ordering activity. So that's my 5 minutes brainstorm idea. Okay, hope you like it. Thank you.
Yes. Actually, Dr. Jaren said that I would love to attend that class, Teacher Cindy. My students love to watch the night sky using stellarium, said Dr. Jaren. There. Yeah. And I also promise that I will use that technique or that strategy you shared to us in my future class with our lesson, solar system and planets and solar system. Yes. Thank you so much, Miss Cindy.
Thank you so much, Cindy. And actually, you've also had a lesson of planting strawberries. Were I wrong? Like I recall, my memory might serve me wrong.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because Miss Day was talking about like if we had any botany class, and can you tell us about the
Strawberry?
Yeah.
Right now?
Strawberry planting?
Okay. Actually, I did that lesson from 国北教大, okay, the bilingual science, okay, 学分班. And my student and I love that growing strawberry lesson. And can you believe that? The strawberry right now, in the very hot summer right now, they are still growing up.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
In front of my classroom. So they are truly lovely. They are alive. Yeah. Just like our teaching power and passion.
Thank you.
And the strawberry, it talks about from seed no, it's not from seeds, from seedling, very tiny sprout. And then my students, they need to plant by themselves, and then to add some water combined with the science term that is capillary action, 毛细现象 in Chinese.
Well, sorry.
Yes, wow, very good pronunciation. Yes, all right. So they need to observe and then to make a record the strawberry, the days, okay, in this date, okay, how will they grow up, and then they need to maybe move to more sunlight place, and after 1 month later, actually they can see the tiny white flower. That means in the future you will see green strawberry.
Wow.
Now you will see the red one.
I love to taste those strawberries.
Actually, I have the video, but
Oh.
I think it's not appropriate to show the video here. Okay, but I would love to share.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Dr.
Thank you,
thank you, Miss Cindy. Wow, that's amazing. Strawberry. Usually, strawberry grows in a very cold place, right? In
Yes,
the Philippines, only strawberry, only in Baguio, right, Dr. Zarin? Only in
because you're
Baguio.
in Philippines, maybe the weather is really hot
Mm.
compared with Taiwan. Yeah. Mhm.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy, for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Because she's here and I wanted her to share her experience
Okay.
with
Yeah,
strawberry.
thank you for sharing.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
Yes.
So
Next.
any other volunteers who would like to share how what sort of ideas you have for teaching planets?
So while we're waiting for a volunteer, Dr. Zarin says, wow, I would love to plant strawberries and observe, but the weather and climate in our place will not allow it. Yes, too bad.
If no one else would, well, while you wanted to, while we're waiting for volunteers. When I was in the States, like I remember kids were memorizing the planets by a mnemonic device. Just it was my very educated mother just served us noodles. So it's like my with the M would be Mercury, very Venus. Educated would be Earth.
Earth.
My very educated mother would be Mars. So it was like, yeah, this would help us remember the order of the planets.
Yes. Yeah, actually, the kids also in the Philippines, the kids also do that. They have this mnemonics so that they can easily understand or they can easily memorize the different, for example, not only the planets, but also the for example, the kingdom in the botany, the kingdom, the phylum there. Yes, thank you, Dr. Zane.
And also, I know that there's a VR built for observing the planets.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
So you put on your headset and you could zoom in on the different planets, and there's information like on the side, giving us more information on the planets.
Yeah. I believe Taiwan has this technology, right? The VR. Because in the Philippines we use VR for watching videos, for playing games. Yeah. So hopefully we can also use VR in our class. Yeah.
For
So-
educational purposes.
Yeah,
Yes.
for education purposes. Yeah. Any more? Yes, Dr. Zare.
I can't help but join the conversation because yeah, sorry. Can I turn on my
Sure, of
my
course.
video right now? I have unstable connectivity. Well, anyway, I was sharing a while ago that application that I use with my kids, which is Stellarium. What we normally do there is what you can do with Stellarium is that you can set the location and the time so that you would be able to see the actual night sky in that particular area. So for example, I would like to see what does the night sky in Taiwan looks like at let's say tonight at 8 o'clock. I can actually view what stars can you actually see in your own sky given a certain time. When I first used this with my group for class, they were so fascinated because you can actually zoom in. It's
Oh.
they can actually see. They can actually see. For example, from afar, you would just see a spot, like just a tiny dot. But when you try to zoom in, oh, really nice experience for the students. Because they get
Yes. I also
magnified
want to
from it.
try that, Dr. Jared.
Yeah.
After the session, I'll download Stellarium.
And is it sort of augmented reality?
It's a pre.
I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, Dr. Zane.
It
Yeah,
is.
we'll try it.
Augmented reality.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Jaren,
Thank
for that,
you.
for sharing that Stellarium application. And I believe our teachers here can use that when teaching planets in the solar system.
Mhm.
Now, no volunteers.
We have 1 minute left till our
Yeah.
break, and
So yes, I guess let's just wrap up for 1 minute. Okay, so just always remember that engaging the students with our lesson is the most important part of the discussion, because that is when the kids really understand our discussion. And with the use of the English language, it makes the students communicate easily and to boost their confidence. And of course, in the future, it helps them grab a lifetime opportunities, because all companies around the world wants people who are very knowledgeable in the English language, right? And of course, it helps our students and enhance their educational skills, because if they want to go abroad to study, right, they won't have a hard time adjusting in this language. So again, thank you so much for having me here, for listening. I hope you learned something with our discussion. Thank you, Dr. Jane.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We'll have a 10-minute break, and when we get back, we will have our second session on the secondary level of science, teaching science and English. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Jaren. Thank you, Dr. Zane, for having me here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope to see everyone in person soon.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy your 10-minute break.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. The second topic is teaching secondary science in English, facilitating active discussions in classrooms. It will be presented by Mr. Marlon Malyari. Mr. Malyari, a native of Mexico, Pampanga, Philippines, was a consistent college scholar, an academic excellence awardee in college at Angeles University Foundation, where he earned his degree in Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Biological Sciences as a cum laude. In 2021, he finished his degree in Master of Arts in Education, major in General Science from the same university. At present, he is a junior high school science master teacher at Don Jesus Gonzalez High School, the same institution where he graduated with honors in secondary school. Let us all welcome Mr. Marlon Malyari.
Good good morning po everyone. Good morning everyone. Hello and thank you first and foremost I'd like to thank Dr. Jared for linking me into this webinar series for science teachers. It is always an honor and pleasure to speak before science teachers, fellow educator at that. So are we going to start immediately? Okay, so let me start. So I'm going to share my screen for everyone to see. Um, I will be sharing an app. I'll be sharing a link through the group chat. So be sharing first my screen. Alright. Can you now see my
Yes.
screen?
Yes.
I'll be sharing my entire screen. I'll be using a Menti app. That's an app so that we could at least facilitate some feedbacking while I present my presentation. So start off with I'd like every participant to click in, so you would be will be sent to that particular app. Thank you. May have some feedback click in the heart icon. So let me know if you were already because I could only see the presentation right now. So I don't know how you picture me in the screen right now because I'm just seeing my screen at the moment.
We can see your video, like your camp.
All right.
We see you and your presentation.
All right. Thank you. Um, may I continue now?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you. So it is, as I have made mention earlier, it is always a pleasure to be speaking and to be sharing information, trends, and best practices that I personally employ or use in my teaching, in science teaching in particular in high school. So, of course, it is undoubtedly important that we, as teachers, we have to keep our classroom, we keep our classroom to be engaging, to be an environment for our students to learn effectively and efficiently. So given that students are actually surrounded with a lot of distractions and that many things are actually getting in the way as we try to reach them out through our instruction, we'd like to think of different strategies and also how do we personally acknowledge or recognize our own abilities so that we could, by means of us improving, then we could also affect that one into our discussion or into our classroom. So once again, I am Marlon Maliari. So I'm very glad to be speaking before you, and I hope that I will be helping you out to recognize also that English, or I mean, teaching science using the English language is actually a good thing, and it's a beneficial activity or a beneficial practice for us so that we could help not only us, not only ourselves, but also more importantly, our dear students. Right. With that, this might be a very cliche question, but I would like you to give me some words that you'd like to give when you come across the word English. So what comes to your mind when you hear the word English? I believe that you will be prompted to answer. Is that right?
Yes, what
Okay.
comes?
Yeah. Well, this is the question. So next one, you'll be prompted to give me an answer. So let's see. Now,
It only says, okay.
yes, that's it. I can see now some answers. Lingua franca. That's right. Practice universal language. That is very good. Do you have some more? Okay. For universal language, that's very true because it is like most people in the world communicate using the language, and I think we can consider, or it's actually recognized already as a universal language. So English being a universal language. That is also the same thing with the lingua franca. Okay, so the language spoken by a lot of people, well, not only for a particular nation or country, but also most of the countries in the world. And practice that. We need to practice really. That's a very good word that we could associate with English to practice. Because, well, we do not start great the first time. So we need to take efforts in order to become better each time. Right? English is uh, a vehicle where we communicate. It's a form of communication. So it's actually our medium in particular wherein we communicate. Wow. Keep them coming. Communicate with them. Teach, correct? Well, right now, as the title of our session is science teaching using English, well, definitely through this webinar and all your other webinar sessions could really be of help in making you appreciate the language, particularly English, in our delivery of science instruction. Well, probably. Okay, so may I ask the person who has written probably to like share a bit of why probably, why the word probably? Can we have someone from the group? Would you like to tell us something about probably, or we could just I could just make sense of what you're trying to tell us, or yeah, the words that you have shared with us through the speed. All right. If from the group, from our technical group, if I may, do I have someone to share, a participant to share the word probably or any other word that they were able to key in or share to the presentation? If not, I could continue. Because that is the word probably is something that is actually it might imply that we are unsure of it, right? So there is a certain uncertainty or chances that we might have a good or bad experiences using the language as we teach science, right? So that is, I would like to get a deeper understanding why probably, but of course, that can be answered also as we go along with our presentation or this webinar. But that is a little bit interesting, the word probably. So I am also like, as I speak, in my head, I am also like thinking about how well will I go with the discussion, and how well will the participants, you, our dear participants, could actually receive the information I will be sharing with you. But it is always my best intention to help you out. So if there are questions later, you could always give me some questions, and then we will try to communicate the answers also as we move on. Okay, so thank you for your participation. So these are all very good words that we could associate English with. So communication, lingua franca. But I would like to highlight, because uh, the word probably, I would like to highlight, as I mentioned earlier, um, we are actually, there is a feeling of uncertainty. Like we feel, we might be feeling anxious, or we might be feeling how will I go? Am I good? Am I effective? Or do I speak the language properly? Given that we are already science teachers, like for Filipino teachers too, Filipino science teachers, um, we also use English as our medium of instruction as we teach. But of course, we could not also discount the fact that we also, at times, or if the need arises, we also use our native language or our national language in order to communicate our thoughts, to explain our lesson or topic for the day. So, but there is this we would like to gauge how much have we done, or how much how much effort have we actually applied in order to communicate the lesson using English language, but still we do not compromise, or we do not undermine the competencies we have to cover, the competencies or the set objectives that we have for a particular lesson. So that is also one thing that we have to consider. So probably we might be feeling a little anxious. We might be feeling, if not little, a lot. We get to be scared. So there is this certain level of discomfort that we're feeling. It is because English is not our native language. So I share the same sentiment, because um, Filipinos, or we are all Asians, okay? We are actually Asian. So Asian countries do not usually have English as their first language or as their native language. So we have our own national language of that one, and it is not our first language. And so from that point, from that note, we could actually tell us where this discomfort, or where is this fear coming from. So we could already identify that we probably, okay, the word probably, we could probably associate that one with us not being a native speaker of the language of English or the English language. So it is it is best actually to acknowledge that fact. So it is only through acknowledging that fact that yes, English is not our native language that we could actually take efforts or take conscious efforts in order for us to do something about it. So we have to acknowledge the fact that um, other countries, it's their first-hand language or it's their first language, and so they are exposed to a lot of communication and conversations that use the language because it's their first language. So and that sets us apart from them. So this is one of the barriers now that we are looking into in terms of um, acknowledging and recognizing the fact that we are having a hard time at first. So we feel certain level of discomfort because we are not used to communicating using that language. So that is the first thing that we have to take note, that English is not actually our native language. So that's the first thing. And then right now, from that point on, knowing that we feel a little discomfort or like we get to be scared or we find it difficult to communicate or to use the language when we teach science, uh, that also points us to knowing our own level of exposure. So how much exposure have we gotten so far in terms of communicating using the language? How much or are we like surrounded with people to help us with? And with that, I would like you to like level or rate yourself from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, so 5 as the highest, of course, and then rate your level of exposure in using English. So it's like from 1 to 5. So 1 being the lowest and 5 having so much exposure or a lot of exposure in terms of communicating using the English language. There you go. So we already have 2 participants from that would actually giving us 2, 4. We already have also. Do you see this graph on your screen? If I may ask.
Yes, and
Okay.
some of the participants were answering in the chat, not in Mentimeter.
Oh, okay. Uh, will it just be okay if we just this
Yeah.
might represent already
Yes.
part of the group or so at least we have this feedbacking some of the participants. It's all right. So it's okay if you answer in the chat boxes or in the chat box. Okay. So as you see on our screen, we already have this varying level of exposure. So we have some who answered 3, and that is a bit in the middle. And then of course, noting that the most of those who answered here actually answered 5. So that is a good note and a positive note, knowing that more and more people, especially teachers, because we need to like elevate our use of this language by means, of course, us being exposed to a lot of communicating, and of course, we use English as a medium for that one. All right, so we also have answered to equalize. We also have another participant who answered 3 as his or her level of exposure to English. So what does this tell us? This would tell us that we have our own set of differences and that we learn, well, of course, for principles of instruction and learners, we do not learn at the same time. We have our own pace at that one. And that this also applies to us learning English. So we would like to highlight that us, your resource persons for the moment or for this webinar, and all the other people that you are hearing or listening to, that they are already good at it or using the English language, they have they have been exposed. It's actually is related or actually associated with them or us being exposed to a lot of communicating using the language. So it is very important. So we have to emphasize that um, science teaching is already important. It's already significant at that one. But if we could add the element of elevating or upgrading ourselves, that we teach science in English, and that is going to be perfect and that's going to be beneficial, not only for us, but more importantly, as I would always mention, to our dear students or learners at that. Okay, so see, so we could see our differences at that one, and that gives us to another point that knowing our level or knowing your level of English proficiency in terms of your exposure is very important. So as I have shared earlier, we have to take note of where do we go, where we are in terms of the spectrum of exposure, or in terms of spectrum, in terms of your proficiency as you speak the language, as you use or utilize the language when you teach science, or it could also be in another setting, in another place, like you communicate in your academe or in your particular university, in your workplace at that one, or just a casual encounter with your peers, with your colleagues at that one, or with your administrators at that one. So it is very important that we have to know our level, because it is only by knowing our level and acknowledging where we are in terms of speaking English that we could actually take strategic efforts or suitable efforts that would actually be helpful for us in terms of enriching our knowledge in the use of the language. Okay. Now, I have another question here. Only needing you to answer some of the participants if you may have gotten the link and you can able to answer. Why should we use English in teaching science? So, with all the webinar series or with all the sessions that you have already had, and with all the encouragements and with all the mandates that you're receiving, that we probably or that we should employ the use of English in teaching science, why do you think it is very important that we use English in teaching science? So kindly comment and type in, key in any word or phrase that might be actually be telling us or signifying the importance of English in terms of teaching science. So let's see if we could see some answers on the screen. Why should we use English in teaching science? It could be a phrase or, okay, thank you very much for that answer. To join the international science community. That is very good. That is actually, that's a very fitting answer to that one too. To join the international science, because we are becoming global and we are becoming international. And with that, we always not link, but we always put premium emphasis to the use of the English language, because it's the language spoken by many or by majority of the people, particularly the scientists at that one. Let kids get familiar with the term earlier and get used to them. That is very also good answer. It's good. Let's get the kids be familiar. Familiarization is very important. That's correct, because most of the terms that we use are mostly published in that language. Communicate with the world. See how these answers are actually the common denominator of this. All of these answers would actually lead us to the use of English in terms of communicating science. That science information and many of the databases are actually communicated using the English language. Okay, and then access this to science information on the internet. That's very good. That's correct. Most of you are already getting the points I'd like to share with you about the importance of English in teaching science or science teaching using English at that to help students learn science content and students use English to explore content and to express what they have learned. I would like to get that answer. That is uh, that is true because it is not only, I mean, we do not only rely on us teachers, science teachers teaching our students the science concept or the topics. We just don't want them to master the concept or topic that we're trying to deliver to them. But it is the best intention of our instruction or the end and important goal of our instruction is that these students will be able to communicate that science concept that you taught them, that you were able to teach them to a bigger community. Actually, I think that's the purpose of science too, or any other areas of that informations are not meant to be kept. They are not meant to be confined to one person or to just be written on a publication or on documents. But what we would like to try here is that so long as we teach science or at that, and then we are employing English at that one, depending on our level of proficiency at that one, the next and the ultimate goal of that one is that these students do not only learn among themselves and do not only share their learnings among themselves, but they could also share their learning to a bigger arena, to the global scene, to the global world at that one. Because we would like to flow information from our country, from our classroom at that one to a bigger set of people or to a bigger community at that. And then we also have another answer here to enhance the ability to learn and present knowledge in English. That is correct too. I would agree. I would agree with that too. To enhance the ability to learn and present science knowledge in English. So see, all these answers would definitely would tell us undoubtedly that using English when we teach science is very beneficial. So it's a must now. It's a need. It is a trend. Well, it has already been in place for so long, but the thing is, we would like to cope up with that one. We have to catch up with that. We'd like to what other countries are doing, so long as it does not affect our national identity. That is one thing more that other countries are very hesitant to using other languages such as English. For that one is that they have this fear, according to what I've read, they have this fear that the moment that they are translating their science lessons that are actually usually written and published in their own or their national language, um, they are actually losing their identity if they will be using English or another language at that one in terms of delivering their instruction, which is not a good notion or not a good note at that one. You are actually doing it more beneficial and more accessible. You are trying to connect your lesson, the lesson that you teach your students, and then these students communicating the lesson or communicating their learning from you to the other people or to the rest of the world. So it is not losing the identity at that one, but rather you're trying to explore or broaden, we try to broaden or widen our links to other people so that whatever we are learning from our end, in our classroom, in our school, it could be shared and be communicated to other people as well. So that it might be useful to them. They might be finding it, they could identify themselves to using or utilizing that information or that particular activity that you have employed or that you have used in your classroom, in your country at that one. And I guess that's also one way for us to like exchange our cultural well, we do not, of course, we again repeated and again we like to stress that we do not undermine, or we do not compromise still the competencies in science. It's just that we would like to find another platform to level up or to upgrade our delivery of instruction in such a way that we are not only confined using our national language, but we could explore other opportunities using the language. So it's just like us telling that it is our gateway to the rest of the world. Okay. And given that fact, so it's very important. We have noted that it is very important. So using English is very important. So we have established that fact. And that because most of the materials that we use in science, the resources, are mostly published in English. That's a very known fact. Okay. So whenever you are actually searching or looking through, you browse through websites or journals, publications, articles, or just a reference of that one, the default language is always English. So might as well jump in and take that extra effort to at least learn and get used to it by, in a way, looking at it, browsing at it. It may not be intentional at first, but as you do that one every time, and that becomes a habit, connecting it with the word earlier, practice, actually. Okay, next. Well, we always say this one that, or many would agree that English speeds up, or English speeds up. That's speed up. It's a typographical uh, uh, word for that one. That's English speeds up the process. So that's speeds up the process. That's UP, the process by which scientists communicate their research and new information to the rest of the world. This is very timely. I mean, this is very true. Right now, at the moment, as we are still under pandemic, that the information, the travel or the flow of information in terms of producing or manufacturing vaccines from the point that they were trying to systematically produce a treatment or an answer to resolve or to at least lessen the effect of COVID-19. Scientists are communicating from their language, of course, on their own, using their own language, but it would later on be translated and it would later on be communicated to the rest of the world using the language, using the English language. So see how, because time in that particular moment at this pandemic, time is a critical factor because we're trying to save as much lives as we can save because we're talking about an unseen enemy or an unseen virus at that one. And so the travel of information, factual information at that one, based on researches, are very important. So the duration of or the length of how you transfer this information from the researcher themselves to the ones who will be utilizing it and then producing solution or manufacturing these vaccines or any other processes related to this pandemic or to this virus. It's actually very important to note that English is their medium of communication at that one. So we are communicating to the rest of the world. With that, knowing the importance, we now try to we're not trying to input or try to know what things can we do, what efforts are we doing, what are you doing as a science teacher now in order to elevate or upgrade yourself in terms of using the language while you are teaching science topics. So how do you improve your ability in using English as a medium of instruction? So it's very important that knowing our level earlier on, saying our exposure, there is a need to look into factors like frequency, promptness, and quality of exposure to technical terms and explanations in English for science. So often and again, emphasizing that exposure is a very critical factor to consider in terms of us knowing our own level of proficiency in English. So when you know where you are, your weaknesses, where you are good at, where you are used to use, where used to what abilities or what skill in English in particular that you are so good at, not so good at, you're poor at it. So you know that's your that's already your springboard. That's your trigger point where you're gonna start to developing yourself in terms of the use of the language. So I will be highlighting three main factors to consider, and that might also be related to how we communicate with our students. Number one, so it all boils down, as I made mention, exposure to scientific information that are explained in English. That is an imperative that we have to expose ourselves if we would like to become better speaker of the language. Not only that we are a better speaker, but also the other macro skills of English, like we listen, there's listening to, there is reading, and there's also writing. So in terms of that one, we have to be exposed to this scientific information that are actually explained and published in English. So number one, the frequency. So how often you are actually exposed to this scientific information. So if we have materials readily available for our students, for our teachers, us teachers to use or utilize in terms of planning for a lesson. So how frequent, how often, how much exposure do you get? This is not only applied to us teachers, but this is also applied to our students. If we would like our students to learn the language while they are discussing the concepts in science, we also have to expose them in using the language. We have to provide activities that would actually encourage them to use the language. So that affects our level of proficiency at that one. So how much time do we get from that one? Is it consistent? Is it just one time, big time? Is it a crash course? So of course, we would like to highlight that it should have been consistent, that you should always have a regular chances that you can communicate or use the language while you teach or while you communicate with your student at that one. Next one is promptness. So promptness would tell us, some research would tell us, the earlier the student or anyone is exposed to scientific information or the English itself already, uh, the effective or the more chances that that particular person or student can actually become effective speaker or user of the language in terms of communicating science at that one. So we're telling or noting here that yes, how often, but also we're also taking into consideration, is it already late? Is it early? Or we're just at the right pace or at the right time of introducing or exposing our student or ourselves in terms of using the language? So we have to ask ourselves about that one. But then again, however, I'd like to stress also on the note that it is never too late. Okay, so for us teachers, as we would always tell, or as we are always been told to, that learning never stops, and that as we keep on, if there is that particular zest or enthusiasm that we have, that runs into our blood as an educator, as any regular teacher, or as a regular person at that one, or a lay person at that one, so long as there's a drive, time will never be a factor. And if the question, if it's late or earlier, we could actually cover, or we could overpower that one by our drive or by our willingness to learn the language while we teach science concept. So please remember, it is never too late. So you could always have time, and you could always make efforts in order to become good um, user, or to become a good speaker of the language as we are employing or delivering our science instruction at that one. And lastly, quality. No matter how long you have been exposed to scientific information that are written in English, we also get to ask the question, do we have good quality, or Do we receive um, refutable, or do we receive uh, fact-based information, or do we receive proper or formal training or information flow from someone who's actually an expert at that one, or do we just casually talk to someone, or do we just normally receive this information in English, and then uh, it's your on your own, you do something about it? And that is a case-to-case basis. So that's true, given that we do not always receive a quality exposure to scientific information. But the thing is, if we are surrounded with people that are expert on this particular area, then we could actually be inspired. There is a model to look up to, and there's a need for us to, there is always this chance that we are getting inspired by them, and then we do the same. So it's just like it takes one to become it takes a good one first to like to model it, or to be inspired from that particular person who who actually utilizes English language while he teaches or she teaches, or in any forms of communication that we're trying to deliver science lessons at that point. Okay. And that leads us to the statement that we have to develop a strong sense of commitment in learning English in several ways. So what I would like to drive at here is the fact that it is very important, no matter how good our mentors would be, no matter how good your resource persons are in terms of telling you these things and that, in terms of teaching science using the English language, no matter how much information we will be feeding you or will be sharing to you, if you do not take that step of developing in you a strong sense of commitment to learning English, then that is going to be a big problem. So it's a matter of accommodating it, embracing the fact that English is becoming global, and that English would open a lot of windows of opportunities, not only for you, but more importantly for our students. But how do we do that? And what are these experiences that I've had personally in terms of learning the language while I teach science too? Well, if I may share, I am fond of reading just about anything. So I just read from the simple of a wrapper to the instruction material to an instruction manual of a gadget or an appliance at that one. I really like. There is this fun feeling that I feel whenever I just read about anything that are written in English. Oh, not that I don't like my native language, Filipino, and my dialect in the province, not that I don't like them. It's just that it is refreshing to learn other languages. And of course, English at that one, which is becoming more global at that one and becoming a universal language. So just taking time, it may not be so intentional. Maybe I'm just saying, what I'm just saying is that just take time to, like, if you happen to hold a paper where your eyes would land on, could see, just read it to yourself. You could read it silently in a quieter mode, or just you can read it aloud, something like that. Because I do that. I just read anything. This is also applied to research. Like science is actually coupled with research. Like the research, the scientists do not only rely on their own, but they are being inspired of others people's work, their fellow scientists at that one, or um, any other expert on that particular area. They are reading their works, because it is only by reading that we can get to familiarize with these words, with these technical terms in science, and with all other materials and resources. So I'm telling you that reading, even if you're having a hard time, it's all right, it's okay. Gradually, little by little, we will get there. I would honestly and admittedly, we are not all good at the first time. So you have to acknowledge that too. So do not get hard, do not feel bad Don't be too hard on yourself that you're not good at the first time. We always have our first time. So I could fondly remember the first time I used the language and then the grammar thing and all. Even right now, I do not consider myself as a very, very good speaker or a very fluent speaker of the language. But what is in me is that the drive that every time I will read something, I will be inspired by it. If I do not know it, then I will research. There are a lot of ways for us to look through and look it up, look the meaning through uh, websites and browsers so that we could find the meaning. And sometimes, actually, there are a lot of applications already that we could use in order for us to be guided as to how do we pronounce it, what's the meaning of it, how could we use it in a sentence. So there are many avenues that you could do. The only thing that you have to remember, you could not learn something, as we would always emphasize to our student, if you don't have the interest to doing so. So it is always, you have to take interests in what you are doing in terms of learning the language so that you could easily communicate science concept using the language. So read, that's the first one. Next one is uh, you have to expose yourselves to different materials, as I've made mention, as I mentioned earlier on. So watching videos from YouTube, from different websites, wherein they are using the English language as they explain science concepts, you could readily use them. There are many YouTube channels that are educational for educational purposes that you could use so that you could use that one as your motivation or a part of your activity, like film viewing at that one. I remember I used movies like The Martian when I thought about space, Earth science, Earth and space. I was able to use The Martian. It was a movie then back in the day that talks about things in space. So I used that one in my classroom discussion. And then there are questions that I have after that one, there are guide questions that I will be providing them for the students to answer so that we could have a way of communicating. And if there are misconceptions about the science concept that I have already taught them earlier, we could correct that one. So exposing yourself to watch, even if sometimes probably during your leisure time, you could watch videos, movies, English movies at that one. That helps. That really helps. Okay. So listening is another. So watching and then listening to them. You could always listen to that one. So listening to songs. So they are usually in English too. And then imitate. I'd like to highlight this one too. Imitate, copy, mimic, or what other terms we could have for imitate. Have a model. Have a person that you look up to in terms of speaking the language or using the language. It could have been a science teacher, a professor, someone you are close or that you have a close encounter with, or someone that you look up to, just a popular person in the YouTube or in the news or whoever is that. It could have been a professor, a favorite teacher, that one that can actually communicate science lessons effectively and fluently. So you have to have an inspiration at that. You have to have a model teacher. You have to have a model person so that you could mimic, you could copy, you could imitate that one. And of course, this would all go to waste. Watching, listening, imitating someone would all go to waste if you will not be engaging to conversations. So there is also a need for us to converse to other people or with other people so that you could practice. You know, it takes practice to become good and to become effective. Well, in my classroom, this is already a personal experiences. These are some of the activities or some of the things, strategies I personally use when I conduct science lessons in the public school. Although we have, I'd like to share also that we don't have so much resources in terms of the public education. So But that doesn't mean that we have to stop. So in my case, I am connected to the public school in the Department of Education in the Philippines. So we may not receive a lot of resources. We don't have a very good facility in terms of conducting experiments and activities so that we could communicate our science lesson to our student. But still, the teacher should not stop. Given that challenge, given those challenges, we should always find and devise ways. We have to become flexible in terms of looking other means in order to like provide still students experiences that might help us communicate our topic, our lesson to them in a non-conventional or not in a non-traditional way. So, well, of course, we are always exposed. I do not say that traditional method of teaching or doing a lecture discussion in particular is no good. I'm not saying that one. It's just that we could improve that. We could supplement that one by incorporating other activities too, such this one. So for number one, I personally am involved with making songs or making lyrics and teaching my students to apply, to transfer what they learn, the concepts that we are teaching or we are discussing in the classroom in a form of a song or probably at times in a poem. Okay, so we are translating that one so that I would know if there is already this recall or retention that had happened after I have discussed to them this scientific concepts. So number one is the jingle. So jingle is like students will be asked to uh, make a song, or sometimes it is already a pre-made song. By we could adapt songs, we could adapt lyrics from other authors at that one, but we will be making our own tune at that one. So tune of some popular songs. So we used to call them jingle here in the Philippines. So it's like a campaign material for other politicians. But in the classroom, we are actually integrating that one too. I personally use this one because I am more inclined to listening to songs and integrating part of music to science teaching too. So that there is a certain recall.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you give us a concrete example of the type of
Yes,
songs
ma'am.
that you use? For example, the one
Yes,
that I
ma'am.
know is the periodic table. We sing.
Yes, ma'am.
We'd like to
I will
sing.
have it.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I will have it in the next slide. That's the jingle songs. Okay. I will be giving some examples later on. And then next is the one-liner to remember. And then we have the third one. These are the ones I used in the classroom before the pandemic and sometime during the pandemic. And then online interactive games. So for this one, I personally accessed the YouTube. So YouTube is not always for fun, or it's not, I mean, well, there's fun in it. I mean, using YouTube or streaming YouTube is actually beneficial, not only for the regular persons or people outside the school, but more importantly for the school. We could have a lot of resources. We could access a lot of information to using videos created by credible sources. So I am particularly using um, the YouTube channel or the videos created by Mr. Par or Par Mister, as you can see it. And this particular jingle, I've used it in my class, grade 10 particular, high school grade 10, science grade 10. So the title of the song is Aftershock. This encapsulates most of the topics that we have for the particular unit in our lesson. So this is Aftershock song. And what is good about Mr. Parr, he's actually using tune of famous or popular songs at the moment or the time that it was written. He was actually using a particular song that is actually in trend, so that student could have that certain connect to what they are learning, yet they could actually relate to the song as well. So you are actually integrating fun element at that one. So this is the particular song, and lyrics are already provided in the song, in the video. the lyrics are already reflected or shown, but also in the bio, uh, you will already see the lyrics provided by that particular content creator in the YouTube channel. In that particular, okay, this is the song. I'm not sure if I will be playing it. I'm not so sure if it will be transmitted to your devices. Let me try. Do you do you hear it? Do you hear it po?
No.
You do not. Uh, uh, but you could always look through YouTube channels, particularly the one I have given earlier on. Mr. Par for that one. I would highly recommend this one because I have been using it for long. So there are very good discussions of the topic that are actually embedded in a song and tunes that are actually used for this particular. I'm not just so sure why you could not hear it. Maybe in the setting. But anyway, uh, I would just like to connect that one that this is very special to me and in my part because not only that as you see on the screen, not only that we have used it in the classroom, but we were able to have a chance with the permission of our head teacher and the administrator. We were able to come up with competitions too using the song because that is actually communicated with a bigger group. So there is this song and dance performance strategy that we have used in order for us to encourage our student to have uh, a more a more recall or a stronger recall of the lesson that we've had, particularly for earthquake, particularly for plate tectonics at that one, because the lyrics would actually be containing topics and terms that are actually using the language English, of course, while we are explaining to some of the concepts in English. Okay. So it was even made a competition during our science fair. It's a school-based gathering for the competitions that we've. It's one of the competitions we've had. So there are inter-class performances, and the ultimate. Actually, this is the ultimate reward that we would like to receive from our student is the time that they themselves already create their own. So for this one, this is part of the lyrics that my student back in grade 10 or back in the day that he actually wrote this one for a particular lesson that we've had, the importance and relevance of science and how science how can we picture science in the future. So this is part of the lyrics, and the tune that he used here is "Can't Stop the Feeling" by Justin Timberlake. If you know the song, I may sing part of it if you may, even if we don't have so much time. But would you allow me to sing part of it to
Yes.
break the ice a little? I will be singing a part of it.
Please go ahead.
So as
Thank
you
you.
see, so this is the lyrics. The tune is um, "Can't Stop the Feeling" by Justin Timberlake. If you know the artists of that one. So I got this feeling. I'm from future. I got jetpack and flying cars I can control. A room for me under my home. We're so secured from here to ceiling, it's our zone. I got pen, printer in my pocket, got that tech shoes in my feet. I can have my auto car here when I clap. Ooh, I have robots do my home chores, moving automatically. Future techs and poster will be more advanced. And under the night, when everything goes, when you feel like someone's chasing you close, hidden camera all over the walls. Just imagine, just imagine, just imagine. Sorry for the for the not so good voice, but that's how we do it. So we could ask them to perform individually, or it is more effective when you do it by group, and then they could have their particular jingle at that one. Well, we'd like to emphasize here that we do not compromise still, of course, the science concept. So before they will be able, I will evaluate them first. I would assess as to how could it communicate a particular science concept. Can you tap the heart react if that makes sense, or that is somewhat that you use it, not only me in the Philippines, but even in Taiwan? Were you able to integrate songs too in your science discussion? It may not be in English, but in your own language. Do you integrate songs while we are discussing? For me to know that one, can you tap the heart react or click on your screen? Uh, I could not see any reaction. Am I? Would you like me to proceed already? Okay, so that's one. Next is one-liner to remember. This is not my personal strategy, but I just found it effective in terms of letting the student taking control of what they know and what they will be utilizing in terms of looking through other references and sources. So this is just as simple as getting a quotation from a particular famous scientist at that one. So it's like a quotation from that scientist, known scientists, and that along their sharing of this quotation or this statement from that particular scientist, they'll be sharing their insight or opinion about that line. It could have been more personal. They could have shared their personal experiences, so long as it is related to that particular statement or quotation. Also, we would like to emphasize also the contributions that these scientists are actually have contributed or had contributed to the world, of course, the inventions and discoveries that they have to the world. So it's like this one. So I asked them to, they could have references or sources, they could have gotten images, they could make their own images at that one, wherein they would have to highlight a particular scientist, also a particular specific statement from that scientist. Say, one liner to remember, I found it a very good opportunity for the students to express themselves in the class. Also, relating our topics. So I will also ask them, oh, I would personally determine, at times I personally determine the scientists that might be related to the particular lesson that we are actually discussing. For example, for Charles Darwin, the unit for biology, a unit of evolution. So I asked them to look through some statements that are coming from Charles Darwin. So, and this is one of them. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change, by Charles Darwin. We know that Charles Darwin is, as you know, a fellow science teacher at that one. So a man that highly contributed to the field of evolution. So as for the statement, you would, from this encounter experience of the student, they would able to relate themselves or experiences to not only that we are teaching the science concept, but more importantly, we would like to know what they feel at the moment, what they are undergoing through the manner of them expressing themselves in front of the class while they are presenting orally at that. So it's actually good. It was a good encounter. It's a good experience to listen to this student, and they are very much welcoming in terms of us teachers whenever we ask them. So it does not rest alone. It is not we should not rest on just them presenting. We could always have follow-up questions or feedbacking so that we would know where they are, and then we could correct if there are any misconceptions. Because science, we have always to stay true to the facts, and that all the things that we are teaching our student are actually based from what is acceptable and what is true. It's always fact-based at that. So so these are my students sharing their own. Others are presenting using a PowerPoint presentation. So whichever method or whichever medium they would like to use, I would allow them to, given permitted by the time. And the last part is the online interactive games. So it has been a trend because games, it is not only applied to like to the to the young learners or primary students or students in the primary education, but it is also more and more becoming appealing to high schoolers, so students in high school. So that's why we are also integrating the use of the following interactive games. So it's just like after you have discussed a particular lesson or topic, you could integrate this one after, or sometimes it could have been a motivation too. It could have been a jump starter. It could have been our jumping board before we discuss the lesson, as short as possible. But if you're trying to like assess how much they have learned for a particular lesson, then you could do a longer versions at that one, and you could have uh, you could have uh, you could have the result right away. So this one is Kahoot. Can you tap the heart react if you were able to use Kahoot before, if I may ask? Oh, that's very good. So I'm not alone in this journey. That you have. We share the same methods or strategies in order to catch our student attention, to make them more participative and active. Because at the end of the day, our end goal would always be making our learners active participant of the teaching and learning process. So we do not just want them to sit back, relax, and listen to you all day, but we want them to participate. So we would like to uh, we would like to foster and promote engagement of our student more and more. Later, I will be presenting to you one of the Kahoot games, if we could play it. Are we still allowed to, ma'am, or I'll just be continuing and sharing the advantages or the mechanism of the game? Am I allowed to like ask them to play part of it?
Yes, please go
Will I
ahead. We
be
still
allowed?
have about 12 minutes for the presentation.
Uh,
And then the last 10 minutes, hopefully we can have Q&A. Thank
Thank
you.
you, ma'am. Thank you. So for this Kahoot, and then for the Kahoot, that's the first one. The second one is a word wall. Have you experienced word wall before? If I may ask, heart react to if if you have used this one before. So what I will do is to finish first, and then we will be doing part of it, the interactive game, so that you will know, you will have an experience, first-hand experience to using the interactive game. Do you have someone who knows word wall? These are a set of activities. We can find resources, readily available resources, particularly in science. You will just search what particular topic you are in that you're discussing, and then it could have been a summarizer. You do that one to like assess how much the students have gotten or have learned from you by means of this activity, or it could be an in-between activity. It could have been something that you do in between your discussion. So this one is the word wall. Okay. So let us try the word wall first. I'm not sure if I will be able. So this is how it's look like. This is how it looks like when you are the presenter for for the word wall activity. So these are the entries. So this is particularly for the cell parts. There are many authors here that you could look through and then you could use. What you will do is to just search word wall, and then there, the wordwall.net, then you will open it. So you will click that particular there you go. So you will see this one. It's because that I have already account, or I have logged in already. But you could always do you could always sign up. It's a free. There is a free account. I mean, we could use it freely, so it does not have um, particular fee in using it one in using this application, particular application. But of course, if you'd like to upgrade, then that's the time that you pay. But I'm using it for free, so the activities presented are already good, so you don't need to like upgrade it even more. So this is the first one. So let us try if I could share it with you. So present this one. Ah, I will be sharing it with you. Let us try if you could answer sort of it. Copy. I'll paste it in our chat box. Let's try if you could. Were you able to access it? Sorry, I may not have. Any feedback from that one? Were you able to access the link?
Yes.
Okay. If I may ask someone to try, can you navigate through? I mean, like this one, like that. You're trying to match the organelles to the name of the organelles
Yes.
to the particular point. Okay, but it's not showing in our screen, right? Because it might be an individual. So it has a different form. So it's an individual. It could have been a link that you could share to your student while you are doing or while they're discussing, or it could have been also sent to them individually, and that they will be you will use that one as a supplementary or as an extension activity. So it's your call now to like for this one. So I will be using it. And then we have cytoplasm. And then we have endoplasmic reticulum. We have the nucleus over there. And then the Golgi bodies. And then the mitochondria or the mitochondria. And then I'll be wrong. Then submit the answers. And then there you have it. So you will have, so this is a particular activity that you could use. So sometimes you could actually play it with a group for that one. Okay, so that is the for the word wall. For the Kahoot, let's try if we could. This is actually for the Kahoot, so you'll just search the same. So the Kahoot. This is an interactive thing. I think this is very popular. So we'll just click that in. For the presenter, you will be for the Kahoot.com. But for the student, you'll be providing them a code. So like this one, let's try mine. So in here, the title of the, so you could look through, you could actually look through the library. You could search a lot of like cell This is mine pala, sorry, for the home. So you could actually look through the different materials here also that are actually, there are readily available materials that you could look through. But this is mine for the others. Okay. So let's try the one that I told you. Okay. Not this one, sorry. The DNA. So let's start. Let's try. There are 10 questions. And then let me see. But we will not be finishing it. Let's try it just for you to have a grasp of what you could experience. Let's have a classic mode. All right. So that's the code. So to join that one, you can join at kahoot.it or with the Kahoot app. If you have an app, this is the game pin already. So we also have a QR code. So let us see if you could join. Even just some participants, just a few at that. We're able to access it. Kahoot.it. Let me try if you could access this already or no.
Yes, we can access it.
Oh, there. Thank you. Okay, so let's try. And in a fast mode, let's see if this works. Okay, so we're talking about DNA to mRNA. So it is part of the biology, the central dogma. Let's try. I know you are very well aware of those concepts already. So it's just like as simple as base pairing. For DNA, the complementary DNA to the strand, to the mRNA strand. Let's try. So you will see the student with this one. Okay, let's try. So there. You don't need to like, I'll just tap in and then there's a time. Base pairing, the TGA. So we have thymine, guanine, and adenine at that one. Okay. So there you go. You will know the correct answer is also shown. So there. So how many students have answered this particular answer and so on. So you will already get that one. And then next one. So this is the scoreboard. From this point, you could actually let your students see their performance so far. So that would also give you idea where, what level they have in terms of their mastery of the topics that you have shared to them. So that's a scoreboard, and then next another one, and then we will end this app so that we could proceed. So ACC for the base pairs. Adenine, cytosine. So we have, others have answered. Okay, we have that one. So we have, the correct answer is letter A. So to mRNA, we have uracil and then guanine, paired up with cytosine. Okay. So that is Kahoot. Okay, so these are just some, but there are a lot. Actually, if you will be looking through other websites and references in the web, there are a lot. I have used, this one, the one I'm using for the presentation is called the Mentimeter. So this is another thing also. So I have, so that you could right away get feedback from your students right away. And then And that leads us to some questions. Do you have any questions? Or we will do it after everything. Do you have any questions? So those are just some that I find. I think you could, there are a lot actually, but I would like you to remember that it is not as much, it is not the number of strategies that you will use. But the thing is how well can you incorporate those into your science teaching? And basically, there are a lot of readily available resources. So do not get scared, or do not get frightened in searching through a lot of resources, because there are a lot. There are things that you might know already that I do not know, and things I do know that you do not know. So we are actually having our own face at that in terms of looking through different resources. So do you have questions? You could actually type your questions. Should there be one? Would you have questions for me about the presentation and all? Would you have any questions? Oh, for the word wall, can we type in Chinese? That feature, uh, most of the languages that I have used are actually in English. Just very quite sure as to another language for that one. I'm not very quite sure about that one for the Chinese characters at that one. Do we have any other one? Or we could have the questions next while I will be ending the presentation because I think I don't have so much time. I will answer the questions after the entire presentation, if I may.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead so that we could. And then that gives us things to consider in general, in a nutshell. So I am here, your fellow science educator and teacher at that one, a high school science teacher that started from scratch too. Even in the Philippines that we have the earlier exposure to the use of English, but still the barrier is that it's not our native language. So we have to establish the idea that it is not easy, okay, to learning English, but we can do something to enhance our current level of English proficiency. So we can always find ways, devise ways. We can be inspired by other people to actually learn the language so that we could level up, we could upgrade ourselves in terms of communicating science concepts or topics in English so that we could have greater access, noting the statements earlier on that you've given, so that we could have a greater access to a lot of scientific information and databases. Next, yes, we can do something, but the thing is, how committed are we? So how committed are we in terms of learning it? So you always have to ask yourself, how much how much effort should be giving? How much how much time should I be placing on learning or in learning this particular skill using the English language, noting all the other macro skills at that one. So the word commitment, you have to commit yourself to learning it, because it is only by committing that we take the opportunities and strategies in learning it personally. So we have to take so much interests if we'd like to become better, if we'd like to become effective, although there are a lot of barriers or a lot of challenges that might be coming along the way. But one thing is for sure, we should never get tired of learning, relearning, and unlearning things as we get to be in the course of learning the English language while we teach science. And lastly, we have to believe that in time, you'll become better in teaching science using the English language. So it takes time. So it's not always an instantaneous uh, activity or result at that one. So acknowledge or recognize that good things and great success would always take time. And by means of success, I speak of you learning the language, delivering science instruction using the language easily. So you always have to become confident. You have to believe in yourself, have faith that while you are being exposed to little by little to these webinars, to these trainings, to people who are expert at the field, you will you will soon get there. Just have faith and believe in yourself. And that's all. That's all that I could share. Thank you for being attentive and for listening to me. So once again, I am Sir Marlon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Marlon. We have time for one question. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to ask?
Yes.
You could either type it in the chat box or you can raise your hand
Okay.
and we can call you and you can use a microphone to speak up. Or perhaps if you have a question for Teacher Tay.
Yes. I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay, thank you. All right. Mr. Marlon, I have a question. Earlier you shared
Yes.
with us, you shared with us a song that one of your students made. That's
Yes,
really
ma'am.
a good output because creation means if they are able to create something, it means that they have a good understanding of the topic. My question is, what if the student is struggling with the English language? What scaffolding can we give them to ensure that they'd be able to create a good output?
That That is a very good question because uh, before leading to that, that is the end. That is the product already that I've shared earlier on. So before that, we have come to that product of that student writing that jingle. We have so many drafts before that one. So the scaffolding I have provided them. Number one, of course, I have used it beforehand. So it's like even before the time that they have to do their own, writing their own jingle, I am exposing them already with this type of songs. So it is not only at that particular time that I have shared the use of jingle in teaching science, but even before that one, at the early, like first quarter or second quarter of our lesson, I'm already sharing some of the songs. So that one, exposing them to that type of songs and to that type of activity so that they could have a grasp of how to do it. Like it will be a pattern in terms of the tune of the song. So the words or the lyrics that will be writing will be actually depending on the melody or to the rhythm of the song. So that's one. Next would be the words. I am asking them. There would be this, like, we will be brainstorming. We would have this Q&A or feedbacking wherein what particular topic, because sometimes the topics are predetermined and sometimes are actually suggested or of the point of interest of the student depending on the particular unit of lesson in science that we are having. So they have choices um, whether they will be suggesting their topic or it is the one it is predetermined. It's determined by the teacher, predetermined by the teacher. So with that, you could already have a grasp of where is this song leading to, and that the words that should be used are actually based on what you have taught them before, and that if they could not construct the lyrics properly, and that's where you come in. Like I provide some words in terms, I could actually guide them it may take time. Yes, it's time consuming. That time is a critical factor too. But the thing is, when you feel the intention of the student to learn with you at that particular moment, time is never a question or never a problem. When these students actually asking to teach him, or this set of students are asking for help in terms of uh, um, constructing the language. So I could suggest some words. So we have this open. It could even be coming from his fellow or her fellow students to suggest some words while we are constructing, because most of the time we are doing it in a group, in a group setup, so they could have chance to brainstorm. If they will be needing more feedbacking or more assistance or guidance, I will be coming into the picture. So that's one. And then I just tell them that it's okay to not have a perfect English. So it's never, even in the songs, if you could actually look at the songs, sometimes they don't follow certain rule of grammar, and that's okay, so long as we communicate so long as you can communicate the concept or the thought that you're trying to communicate. Same goes with the jingle. So sometimes we do not matter, it does not always count, we do not always count grammar, but what we count of it's the thought or the essence, the gist of the information that they have gotten from you while you were teaching them, and now that they are applying it, the transfer of the concept that you're trying to ask them. So I would like to agree with you telling me earlier on that it's creation is actually the higher thing we could have our students to have, because many are resorting to copying, to pasting and all, to like just copy others' work. So creating is, in learning and teaching, I suppose it's the highest form of learning when students are actually creating and devising their own product or any activity that the teacher or that the topic is asking them to do. So that's it. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you, Mr. Marlon, for answering the question. All right. Unfortunately, it's already 12:02, so it's time for us to close the session. I would like to thank Teacher Tay and Mr. Marlon for
Thank
sharing your
you.
experiences. I'm sure that our teachers would definitely look into these new strategies and tools to teach their students science. To the participants, please give us some feedback by filling out the survey. We have paste the link on the chat box. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. We would like to, hopefully, we would see you again next week for our third session. Same time, same Google Meet link. Thank you, everyone. Have a good Saturday.
Thank
Take
you. Thank you.
care.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. It was nice sharing with you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Marlon.
Thank you po. Maraming
Thank
salamat.
you. Salamat po. Bye-bye.
Thank you.